All right, everyone. I have the wonderful Melissa Keller here with me. I've known Melissa Keller for 9 years, eight
No,
years. Yeah,
no, more.
more, 10, decade.
15, 12?
Holy crap.
A
Okay,
long time.
okay. 12 years. I've known Melissa for 12 years. She's so wonderful. It goes by quick, quick, quick. And I chose her as my first guest on my video podcast where I'm going to be interviewing people in Montreal who pursue wellness in a healthy and balanced way. And I chose her to interview because she is someone who has lost 80 pounds, has kept it off, pursues wellness in a very balanced and holistic way, and is also now the mother of two beautiful twin girls and is still keeping her ass in shape. So that's why I picked her first. And I'm super excited. So, hello, Melissa.
Hello, hello.
We're going to be giggling a lot. I have a feeling this is going to
It's
be.
just what we do.
All right. So, I'm going to start off with the first question. And basically, I want to start at the beginning. So, was there like a specific event that prompted you to change your lifestyle?
So I think there should have been a lot of events that prompted me to change my lifestyle before like the one.
Okay.
I've always been a little bit on the heavier side. I come from a family that loves food, and we celebrate over food, we mourn over food. We like food is always the center of everything. And so, I never shied away from a piece of cake or, any of that stuff, or an apple for the balance, but cake was always my preference. But it got to a point where I don't even remember, maybe I was like 21, 22, something like that. And I was really just feeling down on myself and just like not confident, and that was kind of like a trend a lot, but especially at that age. And then I went for my annual checkup at the like my family doctor, and she weighed me, and I think, not that this matters, but I think I was like maybe 230 240, something like that. And she was like, she's like, for your health at this age, like this isn't healthy anymore. And honestly, like, it was true. Like, it got to the point where I was eating kind of whatever I wanted. I wasn't exercising. I didn't have a healthy lifestyle at all. And I made a lot of excuses. And I think that when she kind of sat me down and she's like, something needs to change. This is dangerous. This is borderline like hypoglycemic. Like there was, other stuff. I don't know what happened. It was like a switch went off in my brain, and I was like, okay, like I can't do this anymore. And I had a lot of conversations. I worked at the YMCA at the time, like I had full access to a gym for many years, and I never took advantage of it. I mean,
we met at the Y.
I mean, you could relate.
You had been into your weight loss journey and had lost weight before we met.
Yes, for about maybe 6 months. And that was my thing. And I think this has always kind of been my thing, is when my doctor told me that, I was like, okay, a switch went off, but it didn't go off like in the doctor's office in that moment. Like I didn't go home and like strip my pantry clean of like all things chocolate, sugar, and like, bad. But it took a little while, and then I just really started feeling sluggish. It wasn't necessarily like the out of breath. I kind of got used to being out of breath, but it was more just like feeling like shit, and then all of a sudden, and I wish I could remember like what it was, but it was just, I remember what it is. I had somebody who worked at the NDG YMCA named Jean Destiné, and he used to be my camp counselor, like going back years. And I ran into him at like the Eaton Center, back when I used to frequent the Eaton Center pre-kids, when I used to have a life. And and I ran into him, and I kind of, we were catching up, and I was like, oh, I went to the doctor, and she told me I need to lose weight, and he kind of looked at me and he's like, but what? Like, but what? He's like, just do it. Like, just go, just do it. Like, stop making excuses. And that, I think at that point was like the dose of reality. And Jean and I have always gotten along really well. And he's always kind of been like a big brother, you know, and in a leadership role. And I take his opinion very seriously. And so at the time when he said that, I was like, holy shit, like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do it then. Like, I guess I'm just gonna go. And that was really, really it.
Okay.
So it was like my doctor and then Jean, and also like just my like constant feeling like crap. And I was like, I
You
just can't
mentioned
do it.
that you didn't really notice that you weren't feeling great at the beginning. Like when I look back now, I feel like because it was like my regular, like I didn't notice necessarily how like out of breath I was all the time or how I always had these like joint aches and pains. But do you find like once the doctor kind of mentioned it to you, you started like an awareness, like a light went off, and then you kind of became more aware of how your body was, because it
I
becomes like a normal
I
feeling. And
think
once
I
you,
was just so used to feeling like that, and so used, and honestly, like I think a part of me, and like I don't think I've ever said this out loud really, but like I think a part of me was also in denial. Like I always used to buy my clothes like one size too small because I was like in denial. So like I would buy jeans that were way too tight,
yeah.
and you know, wear my sister's clothes, and she was like easily, I don't even know, like she wasn't half my size, but like many, many sizes smaller than I was. And I would just like try to squeeze my way. So I kind of just
Because
got
when you
used to
buy
always,
stretchy clothes, right, you could size down. That's what I used to do.
but I didn't even buy, like, it wasn't even like that stretchy because at the time, like jeggings and stuff like that, like weren't really a thing. So I was really like stretching my way. I'm sure I had a muffin top in every pants that I wore, but I was just so like in denial of everything that like, I just got used to always feeling uncomfortable in my clothes, uncomfortable in my body, uncomfortable in everything. And like, and it sucks because you like you don't even realize it, and it just kind of becomes normal. Anyways, it was really bad. It was really bad. And then only when I started like kind of becoming more active, it like, and the pounds kind of started coming off, and I started fitting into those like smaller clothes and stuff like that. I was like, wow, like I was really like, I don't want to say I was delusional, but I think that I was really hoping to be somebody that I clearly was not, you
Okay.
know.
That's it.
Um and it was all just because like, I don't know, maybe I was making excuses, or maybe I didn't know where to begin. And like there was no way in hell, like when Jean told me that I was going to walk into a weight room and like pick up a pair of dumbbells. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had no idea.
So how did you get started? Like, so you had the doctor's appointment and then you met your colleague from the
Yeah.
NDGY. Like,
Yeah.
what did you do?
So, and
That's
then
like
at
the main
that point,
question, right? That most people will ask you, like, how did you
yeah.
start?
So at that point, I wasn't working at the West Island where you were yet. I was still working at the NDGY, and so I had this membership that like I had never used. And my neighbor at the time, I was living with my parents, and my neighbor across the street used to go to the Westmount Y, and she used to do these like boot camp classes and all of that kind of stuff. And so I guess I was so like all in at this point that I'm like, I'm gonna do a boot camp class.
I did the same thing.
And honestly, like, could I do the push-ups the way that and it was a lot of women, which was encouraging, but a lot of very fit women, which was not as encouraging, because like whether you like it or not, you're comparing yourself, you know what I mean? um and so, you know, was I doing the push-ups the way that other people were? No. Was I doing as many reps or as many, you know, absolutely not. But I did it, and it was amazing. And so then I started kind of being more interested. And it's funny, fast forward years later, and I was like, I hate group classes. Like I can't do group classes. But at the time, that's what got me into it. I was doing Zumba, I was doing boot camp, I was doing like step aerobics, like I was doing
Wow. I didn't know
anything
that.
that, yeah. And like that's why, like, you know, a lot of people criticize, you know, different ways of being fit, and for me, I'm like, you do whatever you have to do that makes you active and that makes you do what you need to do. Like
100%. The best workout is the one you're going to do. Right?
exactly.
Obviously, there are
Exactly.
optimal ones or ones better for different goals, but I mean, if you're gonna commit to Zumba, then do Zumba. I mean, it's not my
Exactly.
just
Like
move more is what.
my mom is someone that like is not a gym person. My dad is not a gym person, but my dad loves martial arts. And even now with some like physical limitations, he still does his martial arts. My mom will go for walks. You know what I mean? Like I really think that like in life we really try to fit into this mold, especially now with like fucking social media and this and that and like influencers and all of this shit. And it's like, and trends and you know, at one point it was CrossFit and then it was this and then it was that. And so you try to like fit into this mold and then you kind of forget about what you like and what you do. And a lot of the time people get injured that way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's why I started off. Like I started off kind of just like, I'm gonna do whatever. And so I was always going with friends. Like I was not going alone at the beginning. I was going with friends. And then organically, like life has a way of kind of working out to always benefit you, even though you can't really see it at the time. But I had gotten hired at the West Island Y, and so I had stopped working out for a little while. So I was working out for like, I don't know, let's say like 6 months. Lost a lot of weight. I was eating like really healthy. I became vegetarian, not to lose weight, but just again like just decisions that I made more on the ethical side. And then I got hired at the West Island Y, but I didn't have a car at the time. So I was commuting, taking the bus and the metro and stuff like that. So I had taken a little break because I didn't want to keep like lugging bags and bags and bags of
Yeah.
like stuff. Like, like, you have your workout clothes, you have your work clothes, and then you're at work for really long. So exactly. And then finally, I got a car and then I kind of started working out. And so I was like on the cardio machines like all the time. And I was doing like a ton of crunches, you know what I mean? Like, because I didn't really know what classes were offered at the West Island Y. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to like go to the gym. I had lost enough weight that I felt like kind of comfortable being able to like go into the weight room and into the cardio room. Not that you, in my mind, it just made me feel more comfortable. But now, like whenever I see like people who are starting their weight loss journey at the gym, I'm like, yes, like you go, like you are killing it, and because it takes a lot of fucking courage.
It does.
It takes a lot of courage to like
Those
walk into.
machines are scary looking.
They're super scary. But it's not even the machines. It's the dumbbells. It's the people who are like in the zone. It's the people who are grunting. It's the people who are like taking like,
sound like they're in labor.
no, but seriously, like, I've been to a gym more recently before this like COVID thing where like literally the guys were like taking off their shirts and doing bicep curls and like filming each other. Like, is that an environment that somebody wants to start their fitness journey in? I don't know, maybe, but like for me, I would have been like, thank you, but no thank you. I'm gonna fucking make my way.
You need to find the workout that you're comfortable starting with. You also need to find a good gym or a good trainer too.
Oh yeah. But finding a good gym and a good trainer is like finding a good therapist. Like it's true. It's true. Like you need to find a place that you could be yourself through your journey. And that means having your really great days where you're like, I'm gonna fucking deadlift whatever. And having your bad days where you go in and you're like, okay, I'm motivated because I'm here and the people that are here and the space motivates me, but I really didn't want to be here right now. So I'm just going to do what I can, Anyways, so yeah, so then I started working out at the West Island Y and I was like on the elliptical for 45 minutes and at the time that's what worked for me. Like I was happy doing the cardio, I was happy doing like the crunches and like the bicep curls and whatever. And then one day I ran into one of the employees of the Y, Veronica King, in the locker room. And I saw her, like she used to train like a beast. I mean, she still trains like a beast, but at the time when I used to like spot her in the gym, I'd be like, wow, like that girl, like she can lift some weights, And I remember going up to her and I was like, how often do you train? And I think at that point I had been at the Y not long and I maybe had like 4 conversations with her, And I'm like, how often do you train? And she's like, 10 times a week. And I remember being like,
what?
I'm sorry, what? Like, what? And then she's like, yeah, I do a spinning class in the morning and then I do weights. So like, instead of saying like 5 days, 10 times. And so I was like, okay. And then we chatted a little bit more. And then she introduced me to her personal trainer, Kevin Pierre. And then like, by the nature of things, they kind of took me under their wing as a collective. And they're like, we're going to train you and we're going to transform you. And
it's amazing though, because it's that concept, like you said, life has a way of working out, but I think it has a way of working out because when you put yourself out there, you end up surrounded by a different group of people. Like I have found, I mean, we're going to get into this, but some of the benefits of this journey have been I'm just around people with a different mindset. Like you
for sure
bump into these people and then they help you along the way, and they help you become that person because they're already there. So they're a great example. They're a great motivator.
For sure. And it's funny because, I mean, you know this, but Veronica ended up being my roommate for a few years afterwards. And so it's just like, you know, had we not had that conversation in the locker room, for sure we would have spoken because we work at the same place. But like, would I have become one of like Kevin's clients, and would we have been training together? And like, and Veronica really pushed me. Like I even, like, we've talked about it more recently, and I was like, those were some of my best training times, is when we were training together, because she was always beast mode, and that pushed me to be like beast mode. And then we would always just kind of like want to level up. And not for anybody else. Like I wasn't competing. I wasn't doing anything. It was for me and bragging rights. And like at that time I would post it all over Facebook, like all my achievements, which I still do with my runs now. But at the time,
and you should.
Yeah, because I'm super fucking proud. And I was really proud then. Like literally I went from being like 240 pounds, and then I dropped down to like 165 at my lowest, and there was like some disordered eating going on at some point over there, and so now I'm at like a happy like 180, 185, like, you know, it goes back and forth. But like after kids, after a lot of life experiences, after you know, figuring out what works for me, and letting go of a lot of like the restrictive stuff that I think your brain has to go through during a weight loss thing. You know, now I'm in a happy place. Do I want to lose a bit more weight? Yeah, sure. But like, do I want to run a half marathon? Fuck yeah. And like, that's more my priority. You know what I mean?
That's what I find interesting. Like we obviously started with me asking you like how you lost the weight.
Yeah, sorry, I like went like completely off course.
It's great because you're now, you kind of went into the fact your focus became like you saw somebody else lifting weights, you became curious, and then your goal was to kind of do that. And it was almost like your goals went to more strength, and the weight loss kept happening as a product, but it was really became a health focus and not necessarily a weight loss like aesthetic focus. It was the accomplishments you were getting from lifting weights. And for me, I know that's where my success came. I tried to lose weight. I mean, like you, I worked at the Y with a free membership, and you know, start, stop. I mean, how many times would I start working out with you and trail off? I mean, how often would I joke when you were going to train about the fact like, oh, you're going to train, I'm going to sit here on my
you guys like ripped into me.
Starbucks, that like how people can change, right?
but that just goes to show that like I really think that like something just has to switch, and you have to reprioritize. And like, by no means is this journey easy. Like my relationship with myself, my relationship with my body, my relationship with food, my relationship with the way that I interact is literally a daily, I don't want to even use the word struggle, but it is it's a daily refocus. And it's and like some days are very, very, very difficult. We all go through shit, especially now with COVID, you know, it's we all cope differently, and you know, some people cope by overtraining.
For sure.
You know, I cope by, and I actively saw it when I was working from home. The girls are crying, there's a stressful situation, and my brain immediately went to like, I really want chocolate right now. And I had it in the house, which I don't do because I know how I get. I had it in the house. It was like Easter. And so, you know, 20,000 aluminum foil eggs later, you know, and like a ton of like skin breakouts and stuff like that. I was like, oh, wow. Like I really need to refocus my priorities. And so it's a constant thing. It's honestly, it's like a marriage to yourself. Like marriage is not easy. It's hard. It's constant work. It's constant checking in. It's constant, you know,
consistent discipline. And it's like what you said, I love, and I actually recorded a video earlier today, and I said almost like verbatim what you just said, which is super weird, but it is really all about like your mindset shift. And readdressing how you view exercise. Like, too often we view exercise as like a punishment for what we ate or for how we don't look.
Yeah.
We review food either as like a reward or as something we need to like majorly restrict instead of finding balance. I mean, you can eat, I can still eat junk food. I mean, I have people go, you go to A&W, get a Beyond Meat burger, go occasionally. I don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
Because I built this new relationship with food, when I do eat something that's considered bad, which I absolutely hate,
Yeah.
but I don't feel guilty about it because, well, I ate clean like all week. I haven't gone out. So what? I'm going to have a burger. It's not the end of the world, but there's always going to be setbacks. And that was a question I wanted to ask you. Like, there are setbacks. There are like binging chocolate, or maybe taking a few days off from the gym when you really didn't need it. You didn't have to, you just, whatever, you felt lazy for a couple of days. Like, how do you deal with those setbacks and like get back on track? Because that's the thing, they're always going to happen. The journey is not smooth.
No, it's not smooth at all. It's a constant roller coaster of some days you're motivated, some weeks you're motivated, some months you're motivated, and something happens in life, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need to reassess this a little bit. And it's funny we're having this conversation today because, so I have an Apple Watch, and my Apple Watch, like it's really, really practical for me because it tracks when I'm running, how many kilometers, my pace, this and that. But it also can be a little pain in the ass because it vibrates every time you have to, like, to remind you, like,
to move.
Usually you're more, what did it say this morning? Usually you're further along in your exercise goal.
Oh.
Maybe you should take a walk. Like, literally, they're like, oh, you should take a brisk, like, 20-minute walk. And today I woke up, and after 20 days of like running, doing weights, being active, I woke up and I was like, today I just can't do it. Like, today I have my cup is empty. I have nothing left to give. And so I am going to opt out of working out. I am going to eat what I want to eat, and I am going to do what I need to do to get through the day. And then tomorrow's a new day.
Which is perfectly normal.
Which is totally fine. It's so, like,
better at like identifying when you need that day and not feeling guilty about it than like getting kind of back on the
I mean, I still feel guilty about it, but I more so feel guilty when I log on to Instagram and I see like all of my friends who did killer workouts. And then I'm like, fuck, like, was I lazy today or did I need the break? And 99% of the time I needed the break.
Yeah.
But I still have that like narrative in my head. And I think that that's the problem. Like, losing weight comes with its own set of challenges. First of all, for a long, long, long time, you still see yourself as how you were. So you go to the store and you buy clothes that are bigger than your body. And then you become worried about gaining the weight back. So then you become like it's like a complex of either you track, or it's just, you can develop very obsessive tendencies, right?
Sure.
And I lost weight how many years ago? And I've had roller coasters of like gaining a little bit, losing a little bit. And so, I still have that daily battle with myself where I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, this is literally not the end of the world. And I think when I have the consciousness to recenter and focus and say, this is like, health and a healthy lifestyle is a lifelong commitment. Just because I didn't work out today, just because I didn't work out this week, just because I had whatever, I celebrated life, like if it's a birthday or if it's, or even like tonight we're doing takeout because I don't want to cook, it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. And saying to myself, like, life is about balance. And when I say that and I believe it, the guilt kind of dissipates, and then, everything else is fine. It's super windy outside. Sorry. But I still deal with it every day. And I think that's the thing that sometimes people think like, oh, I lost a lot of weight, and so now everything's going to be easier.
Yeah.
No, like, no,
it's like what you said about social media, right? It's this kind of, a lot of the influencers are kind of showing you this like glossy version. They're not being honest, or they're selling you like quick fixes, 90-day programs, or take this like shake or whatever. And that's like not the reality. Like, you have to be in this for the long haul. And when you and I were I guess, I mean, you were a little younger than me when you started. We were both like in our mid to late 20s when we kind of got on this, I think.
I was like early, like, I think I was like 22. I think I was like 22-ish, something like that.
Okay.
Or maybe 23. I don't remember.
Okay, so you were younger than me when you started, but you still kind of, you had all of these habits and disordered body image and all of these things for so long. You can't expect it to go away over.
No.
It's going to be a lifelong thing. And I think too, as women, we are bombarded with images, and you could feel great, but you could still have a day where you go on. I do too, where I'm like, oh my God, like that person's made more progress, or that workout's harder than mine. Like, you still have it, but now I feel like I have the reflex to kind of check myself out of that script in my head. Like, it's still there, but I have to go, okay, no, that's ridiculous. Like, get off of social media, look at everything you've done, and like remind myself of my progress. But
exactly,
it's always going to be there. But I think people have this perception like, okay, you've lost the weight now, so you're good.
Yeah, no. And that's why people gain weight back, because they develop like quick fixes and maybe habits that aren't sustainable. And I think that like there's so many trends out there, and I don't even want to like say like dieting necessarily, because like some diets do work, like some eating shifts and things do work. Are they sustainable over a long period of time?
I started using the phrase a nutritional path, because diet does have such a negative connotation, and people
I know, and I was like hesitant to even say the word, but I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Like when I started off, like I wasn't dieting, you know, I was eating healthy. And then as my path kind of progressed and things got a little bit more difficult, or I gained some weight back because, you know, life, hormones, shit. Then I started dieting. And it's when I started dieting that I would lose and I would gain, and I would lose and I would gain, and I would lose and I would gain. And funny enough, you know, I went through like a period of severe anxiety. And at that point, just thinking about weight, like spiked my anxiety. So I went through a period of like, whatever happens, happens. And I was still working out, so I didn't like gain weight. Well, I gained some weight, but I didn't gain like the weight back. But honestly, after having kids, like, I don't know, like I still get stressed and I still get anxious because like babies are crazy, but like, I don't know, like it changes things. It changes the way that you manage guilt. It changes the way that you manage stress. It changes the way that you see life. Like things that used to freak me out before and stress me out before, it's not the same anymore. So like, I don't know. And I feel like ever since I had kids, like I've been so much more flexible. Like before it used to be like, I have to lift weights. I have to work out. I was not flexible with myself at all. Like those like rest days, they were filled with guilt. They were filled with guilt. And now, and I don't even know if it was like when I got pregnant, I had a vision for myself of like what my pregnancy would be like. And the first 3 months were terrible. I had terrible morning sickness. Then I went for my first ultrasound, found out I was having twins.
I remember you calling me and me screaming in the Y.
It was, yeah. I remember that. I think I told you like the same day.
I remember banging on my desk, and I remember all of the kids from the teen zone like running to the office thinking that
something happened.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't want to tell everybody because it wasn't my business to tell. And I was like, don't worry, it's okay. They're like, oh.
Remember that. I actually remember that vividly. Yeah. And so like the moment I found out I was having twins, I was like, holy shit. Like, you know, you always kind of know that like you literally have no control over what happens to you in life. Like you have control to a certain degree. Like, what am I going to have for breakfast? Like you have control over that. But like, I literally was like, my pregnancy is going to be fantastic. Like I'm going to eat salad every day and like work out every day. And like, I'm going to be like a perfect, like glowing pregnant lady. The first 3 months I was covered in puke sweat. And then after that, like, it was just like, and you know, don't get me wrong. Like I didn't like, you know, I was very fortunate with like the stretch marks and stuff like that. And I attribute that a lot to like how physically active I was before having kids. But like the minute, like I was like going to the gym, dude, normally I could squat like decently heavy because I worked up to it. I worked hard for it. the minute I got pregnant, I was like squatting like not a lot compared to like what I usually squat. And I would get instantly nauseous. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be working out at the gym anymore. And I was devastated. I was devastated because the one thing they tell you when you're pregnant and when you're pregnant with twins is like, oh, you're going to get so big. Oh, you're going to gain so much weight. Oh my God. And everybody that I know, not everybody, but a lot of women that I know who had kids and who had twins are like, you're never going to lose that baby weight. Like, it's just never going to happen. It doesn't matter how physically fit you are. So the minute that like the doctor was like, you can't work out anymore, eh?
People told you that?
Oh yeah. Dude, when you are pregnant, it is fair game for hunting season. Like, people will give you unsolicited advice. I mean, it's the same thing when you go to the gym. How many times did I go to the gym and had random guys come up to me and be like, you should really be like curling like this, or bench pressing like that, or deadlifting like this, or like, like I have my personal training certificate. Like, doesn't mean I don't, like, just because I don't use it doesn't, like,
Yeah.
what? Anyways, don't get me started. People just want to like share shit. Yeah, so like they would tell me stuff about like pregnancy and you're never going to lose the weight and stuff like that. And you start internalizing that, right? Like, you start thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to be huge. I'm having twins. Like, I'm never going to lose this weight. This is going to be really, really, really difficult. And now I can't go to the gym. Like, the one outlet that I have, I can't go to the gym. So I transferred that over, and he was like, you could swim. So I was like, perfect. So I swam 5 days a week. And I wasn't just like, la, 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 la. Like, I used to swim when I was growing up. Like, I love swimming. Like, I would go like, I would go and I would fucking do laps, and I would time myself. And like I was like that person. Like, I would be mad that I was stuck behind like the slow poke in the lane, you know? Anyways, I had like rage issues when I was pregnant. Anyways, I like lost track of the initial question. I'm like going on a tangent here, but
it's okay. We're back on track. I did want to ask you though, because I do want to shift into questions specifically about you becoming a mom, because it's super important. Because again, it's not a perspective I could ever give anybody, because I haven't read anything. Because we were talking a bit before about like quick fixes. Like, were there any like fitness myths that you like specifically that you remember like you had to super let go of when you started? You could say no and I'll move on. Don't feel pressure.
No, because I'm sure there were a ton. Like, I feel like you Google weight loss and you'll get 75 different opinions and different myths, and like, you can't eat past a certain time. Like, I feel like everything about weight loss is a myth, because it really is so relative to you. Like, some people really stop eating at 5:30 in the afternoon, and that's what they need to be able to like sustain proper weight loss. For me,
I feel like the internet is always trying to sell you, because everyone's trying to sell you a formula.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah.
The way we're talking now, it's hard to sell.
But because you know what? There is no quick fix. There's no pills. There's no vitamins. There's no fucking
solve for every person.
No. And that's the other thing is like, I feel like you Google weight loss and you have 75 different things, because you know what? There's and more than that, 75 plus, because there's that many ways to lose weight, because there's like what, plus 7 billion people on the planet. Yeah. Everybody is different. Everybody has different genetics. Everybody has a different body. Everybody responds differently to stuff. Some people gain weight when they eat protein. Some people lose weight when they eat, you know, like.
So one consistent thing is what we talk about, which is the mindset shift, and getting that down, and then, you know, figuring out your formula after. But the mindset shift and the developing like consistent discipline, which is obviously clear that you did that. That's what
I did it because, but it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time, and
to me, in my opinion, it's still taking me time.
Oh, for sure. But like I said at the beginning, like, it's literally like the relationship you have with yourself is ever changing. The relationship I had with myself when I was 23 and started this, and I'm 34 now, like, I am not the same person. I have changed. My mind has shifted. Like, you know, it's
why I like to call it it's a pursuit. So
exactly.
Change. I mean, remember I used to make fun of yoga?
Yeah, and now you're like all about it.
Working out, and now I'm like obsessed with
exactly.
yoga. I'm like, how did I not notice yoga before? Like, what is wrong? But that's kind of been my MO, right? remember I used to like eat bacon in front of you, and now I'm a vegan. I used to make fun of you for lifting weights, and now I used to be like, oh my God, yoga now. But again, as I grow, as I listen, as I learn more, as I surround myself with different people, and I've let my mind be open to all of it, and I'm
Yeah.
trying things out at different times, and I find as I become open-minded, I've been more
Everything else follows.
what works
Of
for me.
course.
It's such a long term journey, and I think that's like the mindset shift that you need to go like,
That's
it's gonna be long and hard. It's gonna, and it's never
and
gonna
some days aren't, and some days aren't hard, and some days are hard.
be
And like, but it's literally like, it's like anything in life. Like there's ups and downs, it's challenging, but if you want it and you find ways to make it happen, it will happen. And if you find ways to not make it happen, it won't happen. Like we could be our biggest barrier, just like we could be our biggest cheerleaders, right? So like, I think honestly, like the one thing I've learned about all of this is that it is a journey. It is lifelong. There's going to be moments of like, okay, this is good. There's going to be moments that are really hard, and you're going to change. Like I started with Zumba, and now I'm running like, 10, 15 kilometers at a time.
which is
You're
incredible.
going to change. You're going to change because your mindset shifts. Things that interested you before don't interest you now. It's normal.
Besides, because I want to talk about like wellness in general, and we obviously are like, this particular interview is a bit more about weight loss, but
Yeah.
besides the weight loss, like what other benefits did you notice your mental health improve? Like
Um,
I found for me too, my discipline has improved in like other areas. Like it sounds like a weird thing, but like I make my bed every morning. My house is always super tidy. I'm like the discipline has transferred over to a lot of other things in my life. I have a better sleep routine. Like I'm just disciplined all around, not even when it has to do with my
yeah.
overall wellness.
I I think it's been a long time. So like I don't quite it's hard for me to like pinpoint all of the things that changed, but I think like aside from like losing weight, um I think just my like the way that I plan my days, the way that I plan my weeks, the way that I structure my thinking, like all of that has changed kind of organically with time, and I've reprioritized a lot of stuff. Like, I don't drink a lot because it will impact my runs. It'll impact the way that I work out. Like, and I think now with kids, and I know we're going to talk about that more later, but like it really changed my parenting. Like,
Well, actually, I want to get into the kids next. So go straight into the
okay.
kids. Go for
So
it.
like, I gave birth to the girls in July. Okay. So they were born July 5th, 2018. And Chris was home for the first few weeks, and then he had to go back to work. And so my mom would come and help me at the beginning, because like 2 babies is a lot at once. It's a lot. And they were premature, so they had very particular needs at the beginning and stuff like that. And like thankfully I gave birth the old fashioned way. And so the recovery was a little bit easier because I didn't have any incisions that needed healing. A C-section is surgery, like it's very hardcore. It takes time. So although healing, from the other form of childbirth is also, it takes time. It's different. So luckily I had that, but my mom also lives very close. So she would come over and help me with the girls and stuff like that. And so the one thing that I had, like, people talk about having babies and never leaving their house. Thankfully, I gave birth in the summer, so it was a little bit easier to leave the house. But like, if I didn't have the gym, there would have been weeks that I wouldn't have left the house. And so, like, we talked about mental health, and like maybe at the beginning of working out, like, yeah, it helped my mental health. But after giving birth, the gym was my therapist. Like the gym was the only thing. And I saw the difference. The days that I didn't get to go to the gym were hard.
Okay.
And not just hard for me, but hard for every single person around me. And like my mom knew, like there was a difference when she would come to the house, and I'd be like, ah! And then I would leave and I would come back from the gym, and she's like, that like you feel a lot better now, eh? And I'm like, yeah, I feel a lot better. I feel calm. I feel centered. I feel motivated. So like, yes, it helped my mental health. It helps me be a better mom. It helps me be a better wife. Um, it helps me be a better person overall. It helps me be more focused. Um, yeah, like I think that a day without working out, like unless it's like today where I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
can't, like I'm too tired. Like a day without working out is a hard day for me. It's a really hard day for me. And so, when the quarantine happened, like I wasn't running when everything kind of started. And so when the quarantine happened, I was literally like, I had feelings of panic because I'm like, what am I going to do without the gym? Like, yes, there's home workouts and stuff like that, but I was someone that I was like, I want to lift heavy weights, like, what am I going to do at home? You
Yeah.
know, um, for me personally, other people love working out at home and that's great, but everybody's different. And so it was really tough. It was really tough at first because I was really worried about what that would do to me. And then there's always the thinking in the back of your head of like, oh my God, it's a quarantine. I'm stuck at home. I can't work out. Like, I'm literally going to like eat myself out of house and home. Like if I don't find something to do, like Uber Eats is like way too accessible. You know what I
It's
mean?
it's too accessible when you're that close to so this is my desk, this is my office, and that
Yeah.
is the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, I was working from
The
home.
third week of quarantine wasn't a good week for me. I started to
No,
slide a little bit off the rails, and it was
for
like I was
sure.
working. I would like hear my husband buys junk food more, and I would hear it like calling to me in the background, and then he'd come home and be like, "Where did that chocolate bar go?" And I'm like,
I don't
"Hungry,"
know.
but
And like, it's normal. Like, fuck, we're in a quarantine. Like, we're in a global pandemic. Like, well, of course you're gonna fucking eat chocolate. Like, you're lucky you're not shooting up heroin at this point. Like, sorry, but fuck.
a
Like,
meme about being successful. Like I'm not that successful, but at least I'm not a meth addict. Actually, like 2 days ago. So,
so there we go. Like, there's always a worse scenario.
but
Um,
the next question, and this it like fits in perfectly. It's almost like I sent you the questions, but so you have twins, and so as someone who's lost weight, someone who's a trainer, like time is always the excuse that I get. And when I'm dealing with someone who doesn't have kids, I find I have an easier time responding to it. I'm just like, well, get up earlier. Like
yeah,
time isn't an excuse, or well, your phone, like how much time are you spending on social media? If you're 2 hours on social media, well, cut it down to an hour
yeah,
to work out.
yeah.
But when I have a mom, I'm always there like, well, I don't have time. And I'm like, okay, because I don't have kids, and I don't want to be that woman who's like figure it out anyway. So
Yeah.
you are a mother of twins who are gonna be
They're
2
gonna be 2 in July.
in July.
Yeah.
How the hell do you find time or make time? Sorry, I don't like find. You make time to work out. How do you do that?
I mean, at this point, working out is a huge priority. Like, working out is my number one priority
So
aside from
one,
like
you've made
my
it a
family.
priority because it
Yeah,
makes you a better mom. You kind of touched on that already.
exactly. And so I know it's like like this is an easy answer, and it's not an easy answer at all because everybody, has challenges, but I just make it a priority. Like, I just do it because it's really, really, really important to me. And because honestly, I think my husband would divorce me if I didn't.
Do you though, like, do you get up earlier, or like, so for example, for me, when I'm planning, again, I'm doing it without kids, but like, so I'll plan like all of my like work appointments, things I can't move like on Sunday, and then I'll schedule my workouts in. Okay, so like, I'll have to get up earlier that day, or I'll have to work out in the afternoon. Like I schedule in my workouts, figure out my eating plan based on, like, do you do
Yeah.
something like that? Do you get up like crazy early?
So I admire how like structured you are, because like, you share like your meal plans and all of that online, and I'm always like, fuck, I wish I could be like that structured. So when it comes to meal plans and stuff
That's
like
funny
that,
because I look at your social media and go, I wish I could be like you. Isn't
oh
that
my
a
God,
great?
stop.
Every time I see you running, and I'm like, I like run to the corner, and I'm like, oh God, this is enough running. I can't deal with this crap.
I used to feel that way about other runners, and I'd be like, unless you're running from a zombie, like really, why are you running? But anyways, I guess I'm running from a zombie at this point. But so for nutrition and stuff like that, that's admittedly something I need to to work on, because I know that I would feel better if I was planning, and my wallet would be a lot happier if I was planning more, because
It
but
does
that's the eh?
it does save money planning. I wait
Oh, for
to get
sure.
food.
Oh, for sure. Like I need to buy shares in Uber at this point, just because of like how much we spend on Uber Eats. But when it comes to the workouts, for some reason, those are just always a lot easier for me to plan. I don't like write it down on an agenda. I know my schedule in my mind, and I know what works. The most effective time for me, and right now I can't do that because of the age of the girls and schedules and stuff like that. But I know for me, the best time for me to work out is 5:30 in the morning, or 5 in the morning. I love being awake, going to the gym. There's nobody else there. It's amazing. Even going for runs at that time, like now the sun is rising at like 5:15, so it's really, really nice to like be out. The birds are chirping, like it's gonna get warmer, like that'll be really nice. So I also take classes, and so on the nights that I have classes like at 6 o'clock or whatever, I go from work to school. I would work out at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning. So that was
So
our like
let me
that's
just summarize though for people watching who don't know you. So you are a mother to twins. You have a full-time job. You're
yeah,
taking classes at McGill for a graduate diploma in human resources, and you work out 5 days a week.
yeah.
Oh
But because it's important to me, like, that's
No, but you're such a great example of what is possible, right? When you have the right why. I hate using the word motivation. I hate that word. Like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
right why. And when you learn how to prioritize, like you are the supreme example. And that's why I wanted to interview of like what is possible with such a busy schedule.
But like, don't get me wrong, like things slip through the cracks
Of
all the
course.
time. Like things take the like, it's hard, like waking up at 5:30 to work out means I'm falling asleep on the couch at 8:15. And if the girls go to bed at 7, that means I have an hour to spend with my husband. You know what I mean? So like there's give and take for sure. And it's not easy, and it takes a lot of discipline, because honestly, at 5 o'clock in the morning in the dead of winter,
Yeah.
nobody wants to get out of
And
bed at that time when you're warm and you're cozy. But you know, the girls, when they were born, needed to be fed every 2 hours, and it would take about an hour to do the feeding and the burping and the changing and all of that stuff. So before having kids, I used to think to myself, like, how am I ever going to have kids? Like, I need to sleep. Like, I was the person that was like, at the Y, my shift started at like 10 or 11, so I would sleep in and chill and whatever. And now after having kids, like, it changes the way that you see things, and it changes your routine so much that it literally like transforms you into a completely different person. So now waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, knowing that that's the only time that I have for myself,
yeah.
I'm going to do it. Oh my God, I'm going to do it. Like, it's quiet. I can have a coffee before I go to the gym. Like, oh my God. And my coffee's hot. I do it for the hot coffee. Let's be honest.
That answer I love, and it kind of, I think it segues good into the next thing I want to ask you. You touched on it a bit before about, your, like, you feel like pursuing health makes you a better mother, a better
Yeah.
wife. Has anything else changed in your approach since you have kids? So I'm not trying to equate this, but like I found I had started working out, like I wasn't far into my journey when my nephew was born. And I did feel, and I have a niece now too, so I have like a little girl around. I
Yeah.
did feel this like bigger responsibility to be a good example. Like I don't want my niece to kind of deal with the same like relation, like the bad habits and the negative relationship with food and exercise. I
Yeah.
want to be able to chase them around the park. I want to see them grow old. Like
Yeah.
and I had a renewed and a different, again, motivation, a different reason to be even healthier and to set like a really good example when they're, they come and we eat super healthy, and I do little like workouts with them. And I just found like I had these little beings like looking up to me, and this like I want to
Yeah.
see them get married, and I want to see them have kids, and I want to be around as long as I possibly can. And it kind of kicked things up. I found another notch for me, and I can only imagine how it felt for you. I mean, because you're their mother, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
just a crazily overly involved aunt.
Which is practically the same thing. I think that for me, the one thing that like I think about a lot, especially when I'm running now, is like, man, it would be really cool to like do a half marathon or a marathon or whatever and like have them at the finish line. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or like even like Chris tells me, because I still do home workouts and stuff, like I do some weight training at home to like kind of balance out the running. And he's like, you should work out in front of them so that they can see it and they can like start being exposed to it at an early age. And like obviously now is tough because like if I start doing push-ups, like they will get on top of me and like they're both 30 pounds and like I'm not that strong, you know, like I can't do push-ups with like 60 pounds on top
I
of
use
me.
my knees for goblet squats, and then I do squat thrusters with.
Yeah.
You're starting to get a little heavy though. But
Yeah, yeah. No, these babies are too, like, it is too, like, they are so heavy
I like
right
to
now. And
chest
it's like,
pressure.
I know. I remember, like, you know, I have a video of myself, like, doing push ups, like, on top of Layla. And every time I would go down, I would kiss her and then I would go up and she
That
just
was
thought it was like the funniest, cutest, like, you know, she was laughing and it was awesome. Um, but yeah, it's, you know, it's tough with, it's hard because you want to be that good role model and like, so there's the whole like, you know, having them at the finish line and stuff like that. And then from the nutrition side of things, like I remember like vividly, I think it was like the day after my bat mitzvah or something like that. And I had like my parents hosted like a brunch or something. And you know, those like tomato pizzas with like
Yeah.
the cold pizzas, you know, from this Italian bakery in NDG. And anyways, I had like a stack of them. I don't know why I had a stack of them. I guess I was hungry. Whatever. I'm like 13. Who cares? And my grandmother like looked at me and she's like, you shouldn't eat all of that. Like, you know,
I had a moment like that too.
you're gonna gain weight. And the thing is that it wasn't just one moment. It was a lot of moments, and it wasn't only that. It was the bullying in the high school and you know, like everybody. And so, you know, I don't want my kids to have a bad relationship with food. Like I don't want them. And I did a lot of research and I follow a lot of like toddler food stuff on Instagram. There's a lot of really great resources. And you know, they say like, you know, saying like you have to eat your dinner or you're not going to have dessert or whatever. Like I don't want them to have that rational. So like if the girls don't eat their dinner, like I'm still going to give them like graham crackers, you know,
Yeah.
like we limit sugar, we give them a lot of like dates and fruits and stuff like that. Like it's not, I don't want anything to be bad. Like I don't want anything to be off limits, you know, like it's it's just like I grew up like that and was by no fault of anybody because that's probably how my mom grew up and my grandmother grew up and everything. And so I just want to like stop that now because I don't want my girls to like look in the mirror when they're teenagers and like grab their belly or grab their underarms and be like, yuck, which I've done. Like I've literally, and not like, not that long ago, you
Yeah.
know, like
It's a sad, I remember a moment as a youth worker, I was with the girls in the locker room at the Y and we were changing to go to the pool and this girl was 12 years old and I mean she's stick thin,
yeah,
one of the thinnest kids in the center. And she pinched, and I mean, not in, she
she
pinched her
pinched her skin.
I goes,
Like,
oh my God, I'm so fat. I was like, you're not fat. It was such an, it made me think back and I go, it's like I was overweight as a teenager and
yeah,
I did it. And then I'm looking at this young, beautiful girl who's not a pound overweight. And
no,
she has the same reaction to her
yeah,
body. And
yeah,
I remember, and I think I'd lost like at least 70 pounds by this point. Like I was pretty
yeah,
far along and I was just like, oh my God, this is like, we need to talk more about this and
yeah.
we need to change like the dialogue around how we interact with food and how we talk about weight loss and exercise because a 13-year-old girl shouldn't be pinching her skin saying like,
No. And
oh,
like
I'm so
your
fat.
body is going to change 1,000 times after that moment, you know, like it's only normal. It's only normal. And however, like, yes, okay. Let me just like disclaimer. There is unhealthy, like I've seen teenagers who were unhealthy on both ends, too skinny
Yes.
or overweight to the point where like
Oh,
they're out of breath going up a few steps. You know what I mean? Like, but we're not talking about that. Just like the general attitude towards things where things are good or bad. And you know what? I've done it since the girls were born. And Chris is like, you have to stop saying that in front of the girls. I have to stop saying it, period, but especially in front of the girls, because that is like, that is toxic. That is toxic. And these girls, like, they're repeating stuff already. They're not even two yet. They're repeating stuff. Obviously, they don't know the meaning behind a lot of the things that they're repeating. But I'm like, is that going to be something that they're going to have in their mind? Like fat, or like, I don't, I just don't want that,
Yeah, you
like,
don't want them to have those, it's that script. I think we're fed a lot of times as women, and I think that's why, like you and I have both said, we still struggle with a lot of these issues. And it's because when you have a script for the first like 20, 25, I was closer to 30 years of your life,
yeah,
you can't expect, even once you lose the weight, for that script to just disappear. It's always,
exactly.
I feel like it fades a little bit every day,
Yeah,
but it's still there, or something will happen, somebody will make a comment, right?
yeah,
I mean, I've had negative feedback for losing weight, and that was super rough. I don't know if you've had that, but it's like, well,
yeah,
I can't win. Like when I was overweight, I had comments. Now that I'm losing weight and getting healthy, I'm getting comments from like the other side, like you can't win. And there's just too much like judgment as women. We do need to watch how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to
yeah,
women around us, whether they're
yeah,
our kids or friends, or even just
yeah.
another woman at the gym. Like your words have power and meaning, and it is definitely
And
something I agree that you have to watch, especially around young girls. I think
for
specifically
sure. And
boys.
the one message that I want my girls to know is that, like, and this is something that nobody ever said to me. Okay. And again, not anybody's fault, because it wasn't something that was like popular back then, but like, I want my girls to be strong, not just like emotionally strong, but physically strong, everything, everything. And like, based on what I'm seeing right now, like, these girls have strong personalities, and like, it's hard for us when we're raising them, but like, I never want them to change. And the same thing with their bodies. Like, I want them to be strong, and I want them to feel empowered, because I'm telling you, when I was able to deadlift 2 plates, I felt fucking empowered. And it wasn't because,
My confidence skyrocketed once I
oh
started
yeah,
lifting weights. It's
it's
such a rush. It's
and
such
like,
different than a lot of other workouts. It's different.
exactly. And it's funny because, Chris and I were talking about running the other day, because he also picked up running during this quarantine. And I said, going to the gym is amazing, and it's great, and it's challenging. And a part of the reason why it's challenging is because, whether you like it or not, like, I look over to the guy next to me who's also deadlifting 2 plates, let's just say, and I'm like, I can do what he does, and I feel really fucking good about that,
Yeah,
you know?
great.
But when you're running, it's like, it's an isolated, like, you are by yourself running, and you look at the guy next to you running, and you don't know how long that guy's been running, and he doesn't know how long you've been running, and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And like, it doesn't matter what his pace is, and it doesn't matter what your pace is. The point is, we're both running. And I love that, because I feel like at the gym, yes, it's nice. You're kind of like unknowingly motivating each other, because like, hey, you're lifting heavy, I'm lifting heavy, cool. But when you're running, like, you have no way of tracking what the person next to you is doing.
Yeah.
And I find that to be like really, really, really refreshing, because then it's really just you in your bubble, and the only person you're competing against is yourself. So, and that changed, because I used to thrive on looking at other people and like what they're lifting, and now I'm just like, whatever, man, I'm plugged in. I saw a woman yesterday running with her son, and like, it's just, you just do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. And I want my girls to know that too, that like, strength, independence, just, that's what's important.
Health. Health.
Exactly. All health in all forms, because the way you talk to yourself represents your health too.
Mm-hmm. I think we all as women need to learn that we need to talk to ourselves the way we would want to talk to other women. There are obviously
Yeah.
exceptions, because there are a lot. I feel like it's funny. I feel like most negative feedback I've ever gotten about my body did not come from men. It's always come from women. Even in the gym, the gyms I've gone to, I've never had anything but support and positive feedback from men going, oh, like, good lift, blah, blah, blah. It's always been negative comments from other women.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to talk to women, and I want to bring more kind of women so that we could change that message, because
Yeah.
you know that those comments are coming from a place of like insecurity and low self-esteem.
Oh, for sure.
And you
Oh, for
have
sure.
to try to not internalize those comments,
Yeah.
but definitely the internet and social media is ripe with everyone's opinion about whether you
Everything.
weigh too much or you lose weight, or people are never kind of happy. And I think it's super important that we kind of start changing that mentality for the next generation, so they don't have to
For
go
sure.
through the same shit that we've had to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that the first step to that is like, you know, people say like, oh, the first step is acceptance. The first step is realizing that like the way that I was raised didn't serve me when it came to that, you know, and like setting forth that kind of dialogue and putting that aside and saying like, okay, this actually made me more insecure. This made me maybe eat more. You know what I mean? Like the coping mechanisms that I developed because of this did not serve me and took years to undo. So like use that and put it forward, especially when you're raising kids.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be easy because these little kids are everywhere. You talk to yourself, like, let's say I look in the mirror and I say something and then I'm like, oh shoot, like they're right there, you know, like, but
whatever. No one's going after perfection. It's progress, right? And just trying to be better
exactly.
every day. And you're never going to shield anybody from everything, but you know, I think as long as you set like a good example majority of the time.
And I think that like, you know, the girls are young right now, but like this is the prime time to be able to like pass along those messages, because when they go to elementary school, all bets are off. Like what I say holds a lot less weight than what their friends are saying. And maybe, you know, in the later years of elementary school and high school more, but, and when they have access to social media or like, you know, everything that's around, I don't want to think about it, but
as
like,
this is about to be posted on social media.
Yeah.
It was
you could use it for a positive tool, or you could use it to be destructive, you know?
Yeah. Filter.
Anyways.
That's why I always talk about mindful consumption. And one of the places I use it the most is social media and who I follow. And I unfollow people all of the time. The second
for sure.
anything posted, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want this. And I don't even want people to think that I follow that person. Like you really have to you have to find your tribe, I think, when you're pursuing health.
Oh, for sure. But it's the same thing with being a mom. It's the same thing. You have to find your mom tribe, and you have to find people who you can empower and talk to, because the fitness industry and the parenting industry, all of these industries are like, can be really, really, really toxic. Like when this quarantine happened, how many like quarantine, maybe not in your network, but like in my network, like they were posted all over Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest of like these, like the ideal homeschooling quarantine schedule.
I did see some of that.
Come on, like we're in a global pandemic. Can we just kind of cut ourselves some slack a little bit? But this is the life that we live. Like parenting has become a kind of competition. So has fitness. So has all of these things. So I think putting things into perspective, reminding yourself what your goals are, and checking yourself when like your brain is kind of like being a little too overactive, and giving yourself that leeway that like some days are going to be really great and really easy, and some days are going to be really hard. And like when I was raising the girls, there were some days that I brushed my teeth, and that was a great freaking day. That was a great day. And then there were other days where I went to the gym, I made home cooked meals, I structured activities, I made discovery boxes, and I like killed the game.
Yeah.
And then there were other days I brushed my teeth, and that's totally fine, because that's what being a human is.
Yeah. You have to find balance and just try to be your best.
Exactly.
So on that note, on talking about some days when all you could do is brush your teeth, it's normally going to be this one final question, but I'm going to ask you two because of the parenting.
Okay.
But one piece of advice to give a woman getting started on their fitness journey, what would it be? You can only give them one. Your last breath, you give them.
You have to just start and be patient in yourself and trust the process. Can I talk a little bit more, or is that it? Like that's like
no. You can, I'm not like you. It's not Twitter.
That is it. You have one sentence.
100 words.
You have to be able to find what works for you, and that is gonna take time, and that's okay. And you know, you're going to be sore after your first workout, and you know what, you're going to be really fucking tired after your first week or two of exercising. And then all of a sudden the fatigue kind of goes away and the energy starts picking up, and it's transformative. So like, don't give up on yourself early in the game. And if something's not working, maybe you didn't find the right workout for you, and so find a good personal trainer, talk to your friends. You know, there's a lot of Facebook groups out there. Find a network that encourages you to keep on going, because that's what you got to do. Because if you keep going, the rest will follow.
Yeah. As soon as you start, even if the first thing you tried didn't work, you are still closer to finding what will. You're still one step ahead. You're still further than
Exactly. Exactly.
Same question, but a new mom. Because again,
be kind to yourself.
I can answer. Be
kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. I cannot, if you gave me a loudspeaker, I would go on my roof right now and I would say, be kind to yourself. This is going for a new mom that has never worked out and whose doctor cleared her and said, okay, you could start being physically active. And she looks in the mirror and says, I'm not so happy with the way my body looks right now because I literally just created life. And they're being hard on themselves. Like, that's the part where, like, you know, I talk to a lot of new moms and they're like, like my body, it's different. I don't know what to do. Be kind to yourself. You literally, like, you are a superhero. Like, you literally just created something out of nothing. Well, not out of nothing, but this isn't a biology lesson. You created something out of nothing. Be kind to yourself. Baby steps. And honestly, don't fucking go hard like you did before you gave birth or you did before you got pregnant, because that workout is going to make you not be able to like walk for a lot of days. I made that mistake. The minute my doctor cleared me, I went back to the gym and I was like, I'm strong. I could do it. I just gave birth. And it was a bad decision. And honestly, I could have really injured myself more seriously. But be kind to yourself.
I feel like in summary, you need to be patient either way.
Patience and kindness.
Oh, steady. You got to play the long game.
But that, like, patience is across the board. You know, patience is across the board. Whether you're new to working out or you're a new mom, patience goes across the board. Kindness, I mean, I guess kindness too, because like, you need to be kind to yourself if you want to lift as heavy as the person next to you and you can't. Like, you need to be kind to yourself and patient with yourself. But especially for new moms, you are literally carrying a load that is it's the hardest job you're ever going to have in your entire life. The best, but the hardest. And like, I'm not even talking about women who have postpartum or like postpartum depression or anxiety or anything else. That's like a whole other can of worms, which I'm not going to talk about. But like, be kind to yourself and recognize like your strength. Like, there were times when I started working out after giving birth and like I would put on weight on the bar. And like, I would look at the bar and be like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then I would literally remind myself, you just gave birth to 2 children.
Twins. Oh my God.
Once. I mean, not at once, 27 minutes apart, but practically. Like,
at once.
You know, like, yeah, pretty much at once. So like just be kind to yourself. That's and everything else is going to come. It's going to come. Because if you want it, it'll happen.
I love it.
I just wish that moms can understand their strength. Like, it's because, you know what? After you give birth, like, man, I am telling you, after I gave birth, I was in the hospital for 4 days or something like that after giving birth, because one of the girls had jaundice and they were underweight and premature and everything. And I remember wearing these fucking Depends diapers. And I was peeing myself just by like standing. And I looked in the mirror and my body looked like my belly looked like a deflated balloon.
That's how my boobs looked when I started.
That's how my boobs look now. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy after you breastfeed anyways, but it snaps back at some point. But anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
they've come back
mostly-ish, you know.
You lift your boobs first. Nobody tells you that. Okay. Here's a little side tip, people, off topic. Your boobs go first normally. And that's what they look like. A deflated balloon. chest press, things eventually even out, but
it's tough. But that's one of the downsides to losing weight.
Yeah, nothing is perfect, right?
No, nothing is perfect. Nothing can be perfect. But yeah, like I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, okay, I've got a lot of work to do. Like that was I literally just gave birth to 2 humans and I was thinking, I've got a lot of work to do. I just did a lot of work. I was in labor for 24 hours. Why am I thinking about what my body's going to look like? Because I was conditioned to think that way.
Yeah, because I feel like when I speak to women, and I do have clients who have kids and who just had kids, and that's normally when they talk to me about getting back into shape, it is normally coming from an aesthetic focus, and I always try to shift them towards, you also want to do it slow and steady, because like you said before, like you need to be able to care for your kids. Do you want me to give you a workout where you could barely walk down the stairs tomorrow? Like maybe we should go progressively, because you now more than ever need to be functional. You don't have the luxury of like, okay, well, I'll take it easier today because I'm so like, you need to be slow and steady, and the focus should definitely be rebuilding your body in terms of like, your core. There's a lot that happens there that you need to rebuild, and that's for like the stability of your back and for your body. And I always go like, let's focus on those things, your pelvic floor, all of that, and how your body looks will come with time, but it'll come. The focus once you're cleared at all.
No, at all. And I was joking around before about like, oh, I got cleared, and then I like went right back to thinking I was as strong as I was before physically. And to be honest, it was really hard because I was carrying 2 like car seats with 2 babies in it up and down the stairs, and I literally couldn't. You know what I mean? Because I decided that I was going to be a superstar and pretend that I wasn't just out of commission for close to a year. Like it was not a smart move. And again, like I really, really could have hurt myself. So I think like patience, kindness, it's like moms just be nice to yourself. Just be nice to yourself. That's all I can say. And you know what? Even if you're not a new mom and you're a mom of teenagers, even more reason to be nice to yourself, because teenagers can be some real jerks.
I know. You and I used to work with teens, and neither of us do anymore.
Like just
sorry to all the moms watching this who have teenagers. I'm
not looking forward to that.
But yeah.
It's a lifelong process, and everything takes time, but the guilt and all of that stuff that I think we have, kind of, especially moms, like we have a lot of guilt, like, oh, if I go work out, it means I'm not taking care of my kids, so I'm like neglecting them or whatever. Like it's not. No, like a happy mom is a happy family, honestly.
You're setting a great example, and you're keeping yourself healthy and mobile longer. Like I don't want to be mobile at 60 and I need to call my niece and nephew to come help me.
No, exactly. And like your kids will appreciate that you took the time that you needed to take care of yourself so that you can take care of them. Like literally, you know how they say when you get on a plane, like put your mask on first before you put it on somebody else? Like literally you taking care of yourself, you working out or whatever it is, like whatever that looks like, you eating healthy, you meal prepping, you going to get groceries, whatever it is.
Journal, like whatever time you're taking to be physically, mentally well.
Exactly. Like it will impact the way that you are, like how you are as a mom, and then in the long term, how your kids see you, because you want your kids to be able to say, I need to take some time for myself. Like you want that. And so what kind of message is it passing if you're frazzled and all over the place and everything, and you're not making time for you, but you expect them to make time for themselves? You have to lead by example.
No, and it's you do set such a great example. I have a good friend who has a 4-year-old daughter, and she's always been super healthy, and she works out, she runs, she does yoga, and she always eats very well, and she's very balanced. She's very like, we'll go out and she'll order the cheesecake, but she normally eats super clean. And I mean, I'm called her fairy godless mother, right? So, I mean, we go to Ovive, this kid is like 4 and orders a veggie pate wrap. Like, she doesn't, people are like, what do you mean she eats stuff like that? Well, yeah, because her parents eat, she doesn't know any She doesn't know any better. And she occasionally has trouble. But she already has, I find, this like great relationship with food, and she's so open to food. And it's just because that's the example her parents have set for her. And this 4-year-old is just as comfortable in a vegan restaurant as she is at McDonald's. And it's just, I'm always like amazed by the things that she'll eat, or like she'll try my food. And I'm like, this is like, the proof is in the pudding. She loves to
hold on 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, it's in my jean jacket pocket in the closet.
The reality of being a mother.
Sorry.
Live on Zoom in quarantine life.
I'm so sorry.
No, I love it. This is what's going to happen. I was waiting for a twin to storm in. I was hoping.
Oh, no, they're sleeping. Oh my God, they're sleeping. Thank God. Hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry.
This is real life, people. This is what it looks like to be a twin mom and trying to take time in the evening to come on here and do a Zoom podcast with someone who has no idea what they're doing. But this is the lengths Melissa Keller.
Sorry, I'm back.
It's okay. I can talk all night. I filled the air.
But yeah, like your relationship with food and transferring that to your kids, it's honestly, it's everything. It's everything, and it's not easy.
No. I think that's what we've gotten across in this talk. It's not easy. You got to play the long game. You have to be patient, and you have to be kind to yourself. And that's really the biggest part, I think, of if you want to come up with some type of like how to transform your health formula. It's really those things.
Yeah.
I love you. Look what we did. I had the final question that we talked for 20 minutes after.
I know.
So
that's why I was like, are you sure you want me to elaborate on this? Because I can keep talking.
But I want to let you go so you can go spend time with your husband, because I'm sure you're getting up at like 3:30 a.m. to go run 25 kilometers or whatever it is that you do. I'm
going to do that on my lunch break, but yes, I will be up early.
That I will run for 2 reasons. And as a personal trainer, I still don't like running. I have done a few 5Ks just to say that I could do them, but I normally reserve running for either I'm being chased by somebody who I don't think I can take. If I can take them, I'll take the chance. And 2, if I'm going to miss a bus that only passes every 4 minutes. If it's an express, like I'm not even going to quicken my pace.
No. But like, honestly, I like running and neither would I. But my goal, and like, this is Chris that like converted me onto this. I don't even know if that just made sense when I said converted me onto this. This is twin mom brain. I like can't think anymore. It's past 7:30. All bets are off. But like, if God forbid something were to happen and we need to run with our daughters in our arms, like I want to be able to like get the fuck out. You know what I mean? So
you always say, what are you waiting for? I'm always like, life, motherfucker. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
you never know what's going to happen. And now there's a pandemic.
But this could happen. The Walking Dead could happen tomorrow. And you know what? I know how to grow my own food. I could start a fire. I could build a shelter, and I could outrun most people.
So I can't do any of the things you named except for outrun some people. So I'm going to stick to that one. I'll just go meet you, and then you can get on my back, and then we'll find a way.
Well, you get out of the center of the city, come to the West Island, and then I'll help you guys from there.
Listen, at this point with the pandemic numbers, I think I want to get out of the center of the city.
Well, you know where to find me.
I know. Who would have thought 2020 would be like this, eh? I literally was like, 2020 is going to be my year. And now there's a pandemic. So all that to say that you never know what can happen in life. And so
and adapt.
You just got to do what you can in the moment, and the rest will fall into place as it needs to.
Wise words from a wise woman.
I mean, having twins does that to you, or it makes you go crazy, or both. I'm losing it.
All right. I love you. Thank you for doing
this. I love you too
so much. And I hope everyone enjoyed this. And I hope that you're actually watching this and it worked.
I see the recording button at the top, so I think it worked.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye.